Dentorum has manufactured this wonderful light curing acrylic, which is a one-component material, meaning it's packaged and ready for use. There's no need for mixing powder and liquid. It's packaged in a convenient carrying case, which includes 6 cartridges, a dispensing unit, which delivers the LC, and 50 tips for the cartridges. This kit is available in clear and what we call an international kit, which has all 6 colors available, which include blue, yellow, green, red, clear, and pink. Orthocryl LC is a mixture of methacrylic ester and a photoinitiator, which is what allows the acrylic to set with a light source. Why light curing? First, it's odorless, so your lab or clinic will no longer smell like a chemical department. Number 2, it's biocompatible for patients with monomer allergies. Thirdly, there's no hazardous good charge. It's now a requirement by law to ship dangerous goods with strict guidelines, which are a costly delivery fee. And last but not least, it's a very innovative product like no other. How's LC used? So first we fabricate a plaster or digital model. You're going to bend your wires and attach screws and all other hardware. Another bonus is it's not necessary to soak your model. Just apply separator and deliver the LC, then light cure. When light curing, Orthocryl LC requires a 6-minute curing time. Here we conducted an agility test with a competitor product. This photo demonstrates the application. LC is located on the right. So here on the right side, the blue gel is Dentorum's Orthocryl LC, and on the left we have the competitor product. After 25 seconds, the competitor product ran down the model. LC remains where it's placed. You have an infinite working time using LC. It only sets when it's light cured. Orthocryl LC is a 3-component product. It's an injector, a cartridge, and a tip, which all click together. It's a very stable material, yet flowable to get in between wires and all your hardware. I'm now going to play a short video demonstrating how it's all pieced together. LC is comprised of 3 components. You have your injector, cartridge, and here's how it's assembled. Cartridge snaps in place. Screw on your tip, and you're ready to go. So a recap of the last few slides. LC, it's time-saving, it's biocompatible, monomer-free, and there's no scent. It's allergy-free, and it's a gel, so there's no mixing powder and liquid. Creative thinking allowed me to adapt LC to other aspects of the lab, and not only just for retainers. I started creating night guards and other appliances. It's opened up many new windows. Orthocryl LC over top of dual laminates was very well received in the industry. In the next few slides, I'm going to demonstrate this technique. Dual laminate is a hard soft material and is offered by many companies. I choose to start with a 3mm blank, and after being heated and pressurized, it forms to approximately 1.2 millimeters, leaving it a good size for the application of LC. This is not a thermal night guard, but patients do love the comfort it offers, and there is a little bit of flexibility. Labs, they appreciate the ease of use, and doctors are usually happy if the patient is satisfied. I'm now going to run through the steps to produce this type of night guard. Separator is not necessary, but a precaution. Dual laminate blanks are produced with a very thin plastic film on either side, which I keep adapted to the tissue surface through its forming process. I like to use a separator because while forming, it will pick up dry dust from the plaster model, where it's near impossible to clear and clean after it's been cooled. Using a vacuum forming or pressurized type unit, create and trim to desired size. This can be achieved with any type of vacuum forming unit. Dual laminates, they do require a bonder in order for proper adaptation of Orthocryl LC. You may now be thinking that it's not biocompatible and monomer free, and yes, you're correct. But LC itself is indeed biocompatible. The minute amount of bonder in contact with the tissue is really non-invasive. Also, I suggest to soak the night guard in water overnight to allow for any micro leakage which may occur in the mouth. After delivering LC, it's usually not very smooth and wouldn't be pleasant to trim. I have a solution. I use the round edge of a ceramic brush in a method which I call coloring. You're going to color into the material to smooth the surface. This leaves you with a workable surface and easy to trim after curing. Now I'm going to play a couple of videos demonstrating the technique. Enjoy. The application of LC is quite straightforward. I start at one roller and end at the next, and I continue this application until I have full coverage of the entire die card. Let me demonstrate. So guys, the application of LC is quite easy. It flows where you want it. It flows right underneath the wires, all your hardware. What I recommend and what I'm doing here in the video is I keep my tip within the LC material. I keep my tip saturated. The more you pull the tip out, you may get a bubble here and there. So try to do everything in one smooth process, covering the entirety of the night guard. Hey guys, in a lab setting, this shouldn't take you more than maybe a minute. And again, it's not going to cure on you unless you put it in a light box. So there we have it. Okay, guys, I have one more video. At this point, the application of LC is complete. Now, if you were to light cure this as is, this would be a nightmare to treat. It's very uneven, with ridges everywhere. So what I like to do is I take a blunt end of the instruments, such as this brush, and it's a process which I call coloring. And I color into the material, smoothing it into place. Now this allows to take out all those big ridges and make you a smoother surface. Now I found a little bubble when I take that out. So we're just coloring into the material, smoothing out the surface, and getting it ready to light cure. Simply going back and forth and smoothing out the material. And this whole process takes about 30 seconds to a minute, usually, in a lab setting. It's very easy to manipulate this material. Now we're ready to light cure. All right, I hope you enjoyed those videos. So LC, it's an extremely sticky material. Separator of any kind will not work on the opposing. In order to achieve a bite, I use food wrap. So you're going to cut a piece of cellophane, place it on the occlusal surface prior to light curing. Now use the opposing model and lightly acquire a bite into the newly poured LC material. When satisfied, you're going to light cure and then remove the cellophane. Orthocryl LC, it requires a wavelength of 480 nanometers to be fully cured. I have worked with many units on the market and they all seem to cure properly. If you guys have any questions about your light box, please notify me for feedback. To save on trimming time, smoothen injected LC by coloring into it with a rounded instrument. The best time to add LC is straight after light curing and adding directly into the residue. Bubbles are sometimes formed. I find this occurs from when the tip is being placed in and out of the material. I like to keep the tip saturated within the LC at all times. This technique delivers for best results. Achieving an occlusal bite is simple. At the very end, after the delivery of LC, adapt a piece of saran wrap over top the occlusal surface, then lightly stamp the opposing bite into the saran wrap and light cure. Do not remove the saran wrap until after it's been cured. Dentorum offers a cleaning agent for the residue left after curing. You're simply going to spray the cleaning agent onto the cured LC and clean the surface. I first start to trim with a carbide burr, then I follow that with a Scotch wheel, then pumice and high shine. Guys, I've ran some tests working with LC over top of printed night guards. If you guys ain't satisfied with the shine of your printed night guard, you can complement it with a layer of LC to produce a higher shine. Here's a few examples of LC covering the surface. So here, both night guards are fully polished. I separated the night guard in two halves with a red strip. The right side has been layered with LC. The left side is a printed night guard, completely polished. And you can see quite a noticeable difference in shine. So again, this right side of the night guard has a layer of LC over top, and both night guards on the left side are fully polished printed night guards. It's quite the difference. Adding LC is not a problem. Just roughen the surface and reapply the light cure. So you could easily add a canine rise or an addition to a thin spot. It's very easy. Bonder is not required when working with printed units. Simply apply LC and light cure. Here we have a night guard which needed a repair. So what I did was I roughened the surface area and applied the addition. Easy breezy. Another use for LC is to repair pitted printed models. There's no need to throw them away and start over. Simply apply LC in the problem area, light cure, and you're well on your way. I'd like to introduce Dentorum's 3D printed model separator. It's a paint-on application. It's not an aerosol, meaning there's less material wasted, but more importantly, you're not breathing in harmful fumes. This takes us to the end of the webinar. I'd like to thank you for your participation. I hope you found it educational and somewhat interesting. I'll now turn the mic to Adam. Adam?